need to go to support, and then you need to go to Wii U, click on the Wii U icon, and then on there you will see an option for the firmware for the classic controller, and that's what you want to download onto here. Then on the Magic NS, we need to put it to the blue mode. If any of you are familiar with these, you know that there's different modes. For example, red for Switch, and you can have that pink purple one, you can have green for X input. Well, at the moment it's on the blue mode, and that's the one where it will allow everything here to work. So to get it to work, what we need to do is we need to pair up each of these wirelessly with the Magic NS adapter. I'm going to show you that in a minute. When it comes to the PlayStation 3, this one here, it will work wirelessly, but just to get it to pair up, we have to use a mini USB cable. So plug that into there and then into here. Now, rather than going through every single one individually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the setup of one of them, and then we're going to basically go on to Mario Kart Wii, and we're just going to do a bit of gameplay, and I'm just going to show you. And there might be an update out there, or if they're willing to do it, then maybe they can update it to make it work. Right, okay, let's just sync this one up. This is a Wii U controller, but at least it will work wirelessly. But when it comes to the Xbox One Elite controller, you might not mind using it via a wired connection, and it works well when it's wired. Right, let's move on. If you want to use your PlayStation 1 controller or your PlayStation Z, A and B together. Lots of games out there. Right, okay, let's move on to the next one. Now, a very easy way to set up the PlayStation 4 controller, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and also the Wii U controller on the Wii is to use this little adapter here. It's a retro receiver made by 8BitDo. Now, the only problem with it is that although it's really easy to set up and it's really cheap, it doesn't give us the full range of buttons. So this is actually made for the classic mini systems, you know, the NES and the SNES systems, and being so, it doesn't allow you to use, for example, the shoulder buttons like they're going to be used as a classic controller on the Wii. So it might be useful to you if, for example, you wanted to do some very simple games like the Mario Brothers games, in which case then, get this, it's really easy to set up. But if you were to, for example, use it on Mario Kart Wii, what would happen is these buttons will work fine, and you can use the analog sticks, that all works well. The problem is that when it comes to drifting around the corners, every time you hit this button here or this one, it's going to drift around the corner, but at the same time it's going to use your weapons. So normally you would drift around the corner here, and then you would use this button to, for example, throw your shell. But every time you hit this button, you're going to drift around the corner and throw the shell at the same time. So it's not ideal. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you the way you can set these up working properly as a classic controller. But I just quickly want to show you this because it's so easy to set up, and it's still useful for a lot of games out there. So all we have to do is take our receiver. Now, out of all of them, this is probably the easiest way of setting it up. And all we got to do is plug it into the bottom of the Wiimote like so. Now you can see that there's a little light flashing there. We just need to tap this button to get our controllers to sync, and now it's going to start flashing fast. If, for example, we were going to do the PlayStation 4 controller, hold down share and then hold down the PlayStation button until it starts strobing. There you go. And now they're going to be looking for each other, and then in about 20 or so seconds it's going to pair up and you'll be able to use it. There we go. And now if you have a look up on the screen, you can see now when I use this, it moves around. And you can see that the finger here is moving around the place when I use the left analog stick. Right, let's show you the other ones. If I want to do the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, I just need to hit the sync button up here until these lights start to flash. And again, tap this little red button. And these two will pair up. Now, with this adapter here, you can only use one controller at a time, because remember, it's connected just to one Wiimote. And again, you can see now that this is now paired up. And lastly, just quickly show you the Wii U controller. And it is really responsive when you do this. Again, it doesn't feel like there's any lag or anything. It works well, but only on the games where it allows you not to worry about the shoulder buttons. Now, there might well be some update out there for this. I haven't really done much research into it. So the manufacturers might well have already come across this. They might already know that it works on the Wii and the Wii U, for example, in which case then there might be an update out there. Or, if they're willing to do it, then maybe they can update it to make it work. Right, okay, let's just sync this one up. This is the Wii U controller. There we go. And again, you can see there, it's working. Right, let me show you the proper way to do this now, where you can have the full range of buttons for any game that supports a classic controller. Now, this next setup will basically allow you to use the majority of the modern controllers. For example, Switch Pro controller, Wii U, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox Bluetooth, Xbox 360 wired, even the Xbox Elite controller. Right, to do this, what we need is the two adapters here. We need a Brook Game Converter, that's a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 to Wii U model, and we also need a Magic NS adapter. So what we've got is, we've got our Brook adapter plugged in straight into the Wii, but this can be plugged into any USB power supply. For example, we could plug this into a phone charger if we wanted. It doesn't have to be plugged into the Wii because this is going wirelessly, so it's synced up wirelessly to the Wii using the little sync button here. Now, if you're wondering which firmware to download onto this, you need to go onto the Brook website, you need to go to support, and then you need to go to Wii U, click on the Wii U icon, and then on there you will see an option for the firmware for the classic controller, and that's what you want to download onto here. Then on the Magic NS, we need to put it to the blue mode. If any of you are familiar with these, you know that there's different modes. For example, red for Switch, and you can have that pink purple one, you can have green for X input. Well, at the moment it's on the blue mode, and that's the one where it will allow everything here to work. So this one here, it will work wirelessly, but just to get it to pair up, we have to use a mini USB cable. So plug that into there and then into here. Now, rather than going through every single one individually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the setup of one of them, and then we're going to basically go on to Mario Kart Wii, and we're just going to do a bit of gameplay and show you each of them working, just to basically prove that they do work. So, for example, to set up the Wii U here, what we would have to do is we would have to put this into pairing mode. So we just need to hit that sync button there, and you can see now the lights are flashing. We then need to, there's a little button just underneath here, and we just need to tap the little button. It's so fiddly. There we go, and you can see that's flashing fast. And now, it's already synced up. And now, if you have a look up here, you can now see that when I move the left analog stick, it will move around the place. So let me get Mario Kart Wii in there, and then I'm going to show you each of the controllers working. So here we have the Wii U. You can see analog sticks working properly. Just like an analog stick. So little the movements go to small amounts, and then when you hit it more, it goes to more. I'm using right up here to do my drifting, and then to do the power up, I'll be using left. See? Okay, and then B for brake and reverse. Right, let me show you the Nintendo Switch controller. And again, you can see A to accelerate, B to brake and go backwards. Now, rumble does not work on here, but yet when you go to the actual menu, so if I was to go to the home screen here and just go to Wii menu, then when I go over it, I don't know if you can hear it, but if you listen, there. You can hear that little noise there? So vibration does work, it's just that it's not allowing the vibration in the actual games itself. Because from memory, with the Wiimote, there's a tiny bit of vibration, but normally with the Wiimote, what actually happens is you have the sound coming through here, so it makes the noise of the vibration through the speaker. But when you're using other controllers to it, then you don't get the vibration in the actual game itself. And just to show you, because it's thinking that the Brook converter there is player 1. Now when I wobble this controller here, it's jumped to player 2. But you can see that the shoulder buttons work. That's going to be looking back, and R for drifting around the corners, and then L for the power up. Obviously, snapshot doesn't work because that's not a feature of the Wii. Right, let me show you the PlayStation 4 controller. Right, so if you have a look, I've got accelerate here, and I'm going to press X to brake and also to go backwards, and then I'm going to be using R1 to do the drifting around the corners, like so, and then we're going to be using L1 to do the power-ups. So let me just get something up here. And now watch, L1, drift, L1. So you can see they both work independently of each other. Right, let's move on to the next one. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation 3 controller, it will work wirelessly, but to begin with, we just have to plug in a mini USB cable into it and also put that into the Mayflash Magic NS adapter. Hit the PlayStation button, and then you can see now that it's synced up on here. So now I can unplug that lead, and you will see it will still pair up. You see there, player 1, and again, if you have a look now, see the buttons are the same as a PlayStation 4 controller, so we're using 1, so in other words L1 for, R1 for drifting, and we're going to be using L1 for the power-up, so if you have a look there now. And we're going to be using X to brake and go backwards. D-pad again doesn't do anything, it's just the analog stick.